gym leaders, trainers, Pokemon catchers, whatever you view yourself as in the Pokemon world. Welcome back to Bros and Badges. We've got a really exciting topic today. XD Gale of Darkness is available on Nintendo NSO plus expansion pack. This is a 2005 game that you can now play on your Switch 2, specifically on your Switch 2. So why are we talking about this game? Who cares? It's a 2005 game. Well, Joe is here to convince us why we should play this game in 2026. Joe is a big fan of this game. I have not played this game, so I, like many of you, I think many of you maybe have not played this game, but Joe is going to kind of talk us through it and tell us why this is the game to play in 2026. Without further ado, let's dive right into it. Joe, what do you think about this game? Did you play it in 2005? Please tell us your experience with Pokemon XD Gale of Darkness.
Man, let me tell you, Zach, I'm so happy to be here. Huge XD Gale of Darkness fan. I do feel like I'm always fighting an uphill battle, though, of trying to sell things to people. XD Gale of Darkness is a fantastic game. I actually did play the original release back in 2005. I was in 5th grade, literally. So I was loving it. I specifically remember seeing Bonsly, which is the Sudowoodo pre-evolution, and that was before he dropped in Gen 4. I was like, whoa, what is that little thing? Really cool game, but yeah.
And Munchlax, first time seeing
and
him
Munchlax,
as well.
Yeah. Two cutest pre-evos, and yeah, they're both in it. So yeah. Today, Zach, I want to try to make you and everyone else pick up this game, or I guess pick up the, NSO expansion pass.
Yeah, that's part of our discussion today. Is it's not really like, is it worth buying the game? Because you don't have to technically buy it. Really, is it worth upgrading if you own NSO but don't own the expansion pack? Is it worth upgrading to that? And I, as someone who is not upgraded to the expansion pack yet, I haven't seen enough reason. I've been holding off on this game, and I'm like, man, I really want to play it, but do I really want to spend that extra money to get GameCube on NSO and specifically on, the Switch 2? I have a Switch 2, but for anybody who just has a Switch 1, unfortunately, they can't, which is kind of egregious in my personal opinion.
Yeah, I mean, well, first, to touch on that point a little bit, yes, obviously you need a Switch 2, so there is kind of that big jump. On top of having a Switch 2, you do need that expansion pass. So is it worth it? To start off, it is 2026. This is a 2005 game. Is it even worth playing through? Let alone, put away the expansion, put away everything. Is the game itself worth playing? And the easy answer is, in my opinion, obviously yes. These games, and by these games I mean XD Gale of Darkness and Coliseum, of course, were a huge sidestep to what Pokemon really was. For people who were playing Pokemon at the time, we were kind of stuck on handhelds. There wasn't really much outside of that for us. We had Pokemon Stadium on the N64, which was really cool, but there wasn't like a full game there. Coliseum comes out. We have now our first full RPG, and this game felt like such a breath of fresh air. First off, it focused on double battles, which is actually pretty interesting considering VGC has now strictly become double battles. So they kind of thought ahead and figured out the competitive scene of Pokemon before Pokemon did. But this was a unique way to look at the series with a unique main character. We had a villain, essentially, a kind of an anti-hero, if you will. Then we had XD Gale of Darkness, which was the follow-up to that game made by the same people in the same world. So this is the same canon as Coliseum, but now instead of playing as the cool anti-hero who worked for the main bad guys and stole his Snag'em machine, we're now playing as, you guessed it, a little kid again. I'm not going to sell the story to you guys too much because the story isn't really what you're coming for. That's going to be the gameplay. And the gameplay is, in my opinion, really, really fun. It's basic old Pokemon. You're walking out, you're getting into battles, you're going turn by turn. Really nothing different here. Remember, this game came out, as I mentioned before, right between Gen 3 and Gen 4. So this is like Pokemon in its prime nostalgia. We're working with all the way from Kanto to Hoenn, and again, a little bit of Sinnoh sprinkled in there. Every Pokemon that you see, every move that you use is so lovingly animated. Sure, it looks a little janky at times. I'm not going to stand here and say that these look better than like Sword and Shield, because when those games were coming out, that's what everybody compared it to. They were like, look at XD Gale of Darkness and Coliseum. It looks so much better. Now, graphically, it doesn't look better, but as I mentioned before, there's so much heart in the animation. You'll see a Pokemon use its move and get hit or hit another Pokemon, and everything is so unique and so lively, and it really makes these Pokemon feel like they're living and breathing, which is really fun, but also really sad to watch them fight. Like I vividly remember hitting Mareep, and when Mareep gets hit, it like gets knocked back and it like rolls, and it feels bad low key because I'm like, I don't want to hit this thing. Yeah, so in terms of gameplay, the battles are just as fun as you remember it. The difference mainly comes in with how the story is presented, because in this new region, which I forget the name here, future me just put it up on the screen, whatever this unique region is, there's like no wild Pokemon, really. So what you are primarily doing is you are catching shadow Pokemon. And when I say catching shadow Pokemon, I mean you are quite literally stealing Pokemon from other people. But the way the game justifies this to make you not look like the bad guy is they're shadow Pokemon, which means they were like kind of abused, which is also dark. You know, this game's a lot darker.
So dark. That's why it's called XD Gale of Darkness. Yeah, that's good.
True. You see that they needed you on the team.
It's the darkest game. We've got you stealing. We've got abuse. Like, wow. Oh,
we got dark Lugia. Yeah, literally edgy Lugia.
But you play as a child in the game.
Yeah, exactly. So you're going around, you're stealing these Pokemon who are abused, and you are kind of opening their heart and making them like good again. That's kind of the main way that you're catching your Pokemon. But for someone like you, Zach, who hasn't played XD Gale of Darkness but has played Colosseum, there is a little interesting fold in this. In Colosseum, there is quite literally 0 wild Pokemon. You cannot catch anything that is not a shadow Pokemon. In XD Gale of Darkness, there are actual areas where there are wild Pokemon. Now, there's not a lot. It's a very small list, but there's quite a few you can get. And one of them is Trapinch, which if you guys watched our making our favorite teams videos, you know I love a Flygon, and you can have that in this game, which is sick.
Apocalyptic goggle dragon boy. That's awesome. That's
and
cool.
What a good place to have it in XD Gale of Darkness. What a cool place to have an edgy.
Well, also because I mean, from what I played of Colosseum, like Colosseum at least, it had this very like almost post-apocalyptic feel. I don't know. So I just feel like Flygon feels like the perfect Pokemon in that environment. Is the world like is the kind of like style feel like similar to Colosseum, or what are some of the big differences, I guess, between Colosseum and XD Gale of Darkness, besides the fact that you can catch some wild Pokemon, which I already think is a big upgrade, because it was a little strange in Colosseum where it's like, oh, I'm only stealing other Pokemon. There's got to be other ways to get Pokemon, even though that was a fun twist and really interesting. Like, oh, I feel like the bad guy. I'm like Team Rocket right now. I'm just stealing people's Pokemon. Anyway, but yeah, like what other differences are there?
Honestly, outside of catching Pokemon in these wild areas, there aren't many differences. In the first game, as I mentioned, you were someone who worked for this evil team who kind of defected and is now going around and kind of fixing things, destroying the team from the inside out, if you will. In this new game, you are a little kid, so it's not as like enthralling. But what is interesting is, again, you're kind of set on this quest at the start to save this professor who is recreating the Snag'em machine and creating a machine to purify shadow Pokemon. And that's kind of what starts the story. And what ends up happening is you run into powerful trainers, and you kind of start to get a good lay of the land and see who's really pulling the strings, and like, wow, this evil team is like raising back from the ashes of the first game. So it is a really interesting like mystery in terms of that. But if you like Colosseum, I genuinely think that you are going to like it. But let me ask you a question to kind of round this out. What's been holding you back, and how do you think, what do you need to hear to kind of get you over that hump of making the purchase?
The only thing that's really been holding me back is that expansion pass price, I'm like, for a while, I was like, is there enough games on here to make it worth it? But now, like, I mean, you mentioned it, and it's very accurate. Like, there's a lot of great GameCube games on there now that I do think justify it. And to me, this is the GameCube game now, especially with how you described it, that I'm like, okay, this is the one I'm most excited to play. If you had to rate this game in comparison to Colosseum, like, do you think one is better, or do you think they're equal, or what are your thoughts on that as a last little thing?
Yeah, I think they go really well hand in hand, but if I had to put one above the other, I do think XD Gale of Darkness gets the slight edge. There's a few quality of life features, like being able to save anywhere. In Colosseum, you actually don't have that ability. You have to save like at a Pokemon Center, if I remember correctly, so it's a little bit harder, but I think the story of Colosseum is definitely a little bit more interesting in the front end just because it's so different. overall, though, I think XD Gale of Darkness really does take it home with making a better game. So that's why I really think if you do like Coliseum, I urge you to play XD Gale of Darkness. It's the sequel for a reason, and I think they brought it to the NSO first for a reason as well.
No, you did a great job, Joe, and I'm really excited to upgrade to the expansion pack and really try this game out. I'm sure I'll have more to say once I've done that. I also like that Mirror B is back. That guy's one of the most iconic looking dudes in all of Pokemon, and he's literally exclusive to these games, which is crazy. So yeah, I'm ready for it. But thank you all so much for watching today, and let us know in the comments if this swayed you, if you are now leaning towards getting the upgrade pass, the expansion for NSO, or if you don't have NSO at all. Does this move the needle? Does this make you want to try it out? Does this make you want to get a Switch too? maybe
not that.
Maybe with Pokopia and a few other games, maybe now you're on the fence. Anyway, let us know in the comments what you guys think, and if you played this game before, what are some of your favorite moments?
For me personally, I would love to know who is your favorite Shadow Pokemon if you did play it. There's a lot of interesting ones, and I'll say early on, mine is kind of Houndour. It's grown on me. Really cool Pokemon, really strong. But yeah, guys, thank you so much for watching, and see you in the next one.
Rose and Badges.
Rose and Badges.